Because like we always say, there's no excuse for women to die giving life. And I think the Minister of Health is trying to improve the emergency system in the health system. At-risk mothers are being attended to. Maternity waiting homes are being put in place. So I think drugs are being provided as well, I know. And there's a lot of health education going on. Facilities are being improved. Equipment are being brought in. So there is a lot of progress in the area of health, and we want to commend His Excellency the President, Sheikh Professor Al-Haji Ejejejang, for his leadership. Her Excellency the First Lady is also complimenting his efforts. This Operation Save a Baby is assisting. The chairperson is here, Fatimata Jombo-Sise and Tom Monsedi can attest to that fact, that they are helping the tertiary institutions, that is the hospitals, across the country to provide maternity-related equipment and, of course, saving babies as well. Through incubators and so on are being provided by the First Lady. So we want to commend her as well, complimenting her husband's efforts. And thank the health system, the Minister of Health, and others for the assistance. Today we are saving the lives of women and babies. Thank God. And as a result of that, we are beginning to see these figures. Infant mortality, for example, it dropped from 92 per thousand to 34 per thousand. Is that not progress? Even though we want everybody else to live. That is in the last 2 decades. In basic and secondary education, let's come to that. The Minister of Education and Secondary Education and Basic is here. She can attest to that fact. That gender parity had been attained in many schools. And in some schools, in fact, female enrollment surpasses male. Is that not progress? Overall, progress on the status of women and girls has been registered in all other sectors of the economy. I can go on and on. Any other sector you look at here, we've made progress. You just had Antimatter tell us about progress in the private sector. Of course, we've made progress in the private sector as well. We need to improve on it more. Therefore, Madam Chairperson, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, regarding the promotion and protection of the rights of women and girls, we've already been told by previous speakers that the government of the Gambia has also made progress in this area and continues to ratify, domesticate, and implement international instruments, including the AU Protocol on Human and People's Rights on the Rights of Women in Africa. We had ratified that and signed it, and we report on it usually also. The UN Convention on the Elimination of all forms of discrimination against women, UNCEDAW, we've also ratified, signed, and reported on that. We continuously report on that. The AU Solemn Declaration on Gender Equality in Africa, we also report on that. And of course, the Beijing Platform for Action and its 12 critical areas of concern. We've been reporting on that as well. We've not only reported, but at this level, we came up with a policy and an act, a Women's Act, where we incorporated all these international conventions, protocols, and agreements with our national laws and incorporated them and domesticated them. At least that's a step beyond signing and ratifying a law. In addition, therefore, legislative measures are also in place that protect the rights of women and girls. We've already been told. These include the Women's Act of 2010. Of course, there's a women's policy to lend support to the Act, 2010 to 2020. The Sexual and Domestic Violence Act of 2013, the Children's Act of 2005, and the Trafficking in Persons Act of 2007. Other support mechanisms include, as has been mentioned earlier, legal aid and legal advice, ADR, that is the Alternative Dispute Resolution Secretariat, the Office of the Ombudsman. The 1997 Constitution is one of the most progressive constitutions in the Gambia, because at least it has touched on gender issues in its chapter 4, and issues of gender have been highlighted there, gender equality and related matters. There's a Female Lawyers Association that is helping us here in the Gambia, FLAG, and many other initiatives in the Gambia we need to recognize and thank. This conference will also witness discussions, of course, that will follow this opening and the launching of the network on Resolution 1325 on women, peace, and security, which is very critical. And as we launch it, we should thank the United Nations Office for West Africa in Dakar and thank the ECOWAS Gender Development Center and the ECOWAS Commission on Gender as well for all the assistance in this area. The African Gender and Development Index, where we thank the UNECA, of course, for all the assistance, AGDI. The regional report and database of that index and the compendium that Mrs. Almeida just talked about on and of women who contributed to the emancipation and empowerment of women in the Gambia in the pre as well as post-independence period. In conclusion, therefore, Madam Chairperson, I'm very thankful to everybody who played a role in making this International Women's Day a success, and everybody who's been traveling with us along the road over the years in ensuring that we succeed in this area. But on this instance, I want to thank, when it relates to this International Women's Day, the National Organizing Committee, the National Coordinating Committee, the Office of the Vice President, particularly the Minister of Women's Affairs, and the Women's Bureau, the National Women's Council, the Gambia Women's Federation. The list goes on. But thank out the consultants, Mrs. Almeida and team, the discussants, the consultants, the presenters, everybody, of course, the participants themselves, both national and international, my colleagues from cabinet, and other colleagues here present, members of government. Thank the technicians, the interpreters, inclusive, the hotel management here, and everybody else for all the assistance. And thank you, Madam Mrs. Almeida, for organizing the conference, and anybody else who in one way or another contributed to the success of this auspicious event. For the international delegates, please feel free and enjoy the hospitality of the smiling coast of Africa. Whilst wishing you every success in your deliberations, I have the singular honor, of course, to declare this conference open. But I look forward as well to action-oriented, implementable, realistic, and sustainable outcomes and recommendations that we can implement in the Gambia so that we can move the agenda of women forward. Thank you very much, and may God bless.
I think that deserves a standing ovation from all of us. All of us. Juggling and catchers. Juggling. Come on. Juggling. Right, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a splendid portrayal of all the achievements on the gender and development and women's empowerment front. We are most grateful that we are that privileged in the Gambia, and this is why earlier in my own opening remarks I spoke of the fact that the president is like the griot or the gewel of women. Not just that, but he puts action to support his words. He's not just praising us, but he's doing many, many things to ensure that we have gender equality and women's advancement in this country.